Good evening, I'm Ryan Bonazzo. Thank you for joining us. The 2021 federal election has come and gone, and things remain virtually the same, with the Trudeau Liberals winning another minority government. Here in the Northwest, the incumbents all retained their seats, but the race of the night was in Thunder Bay Rainy River, where Liberal incumbent Marcus Pawlowski finally surged ahead after trailing to his two main challengers for much of the night. Danielle Bain begins our local election coverage with that story.
There's your winner, folks.
It was another big win for Marcus Pawlowski, winning his second term as MP for the Thunder Bay Rainy River riding. After a whirlwind night that saw several lead changes, the Liberal incumbent finished with just over 13,000 votes. Conservative Adelina Pecchia and the NDP's Yuc Sam-Wan both finished around 2,000 votes behind Pawlowski. The PPC made a strong push to take fourth place, while the Greens lost over 1,000 votes to land in fifth. After the final result became apparent, Pawlowski was extremely relieved.
I'm happy! I won. I think the final numbers weren't that different. A little closer than last time, but in the end, I think we pulled off a fairly decent win, but it was certainly nerve-wracking.
For Pecchia's first time running, she was happy with her close second-place finish, along with the efforts and hard work she and her team put into this campaign. She says it was both a good fight and a really positive experience. And with the next election looming any time due to the minority government, Pecchia is already looking towards running again.
Yes, I would. Yeah, at this point, I think so. You know, I've learned so much. Like I said, I know exactly what to do next time. Not that I wasn't prepared this time, but I would be more prepared next time.
The NDP's Yuc Sam-Wan also said she's open to running again, and even though she finished with the same third-place result she had in 2019, she felt hope coming out of this election rather than disappointment.
We're still strong, we're still there. The support that we received from volunteers, from donors, and right across the region was amazing. It kept me inspired and motivated, my whole team, and I think we really, we showed that there's still hope for change.
Although Pawlowski was happy with the outcome of this election, he wants a better result next time.
I have to say it's a little frustrating that I think I've done a really good job, and for so many of my constituents and to end up basically the same place, I have to admit was a little frustrating. But so be it, and congratulations to my opponents and the fact that they did so well. So,
Danielle Bain, TBT News.
Meanwhile, in Thunder Bay Superior North, it was a relatively stress-free evening for Patty Hajdu, the Liberal incumbent there, and her cabinet minister raced out to a sizable advantage and didn't look back. She'll now return to the House of Commons for a third term. Kurt Black reports.
It was a celebratory atmosphere at the election party for Patty Hajdu as she took home nearly 16,000 votes this time around. That was over 5,000 more than her nearest challenger, NDP candidate Chantal Bryson. Conservative Joshua Taylor finished close behind Bryson in third. The Green Party dropped nearly 3,000 votes and finished fifth, behind PPC's Rick Daines. Hajdu says the vote results show her that people in the region support the work she's done since 2015.
Just a real sense of joy. We had a really good campaign. We felt good out there, and we had great conversations with people at the door, on the phone, and this is just an affirmation that the region wants me to continue to represent them.
As for Bryson, she was pleased with her vote total, but despite that, she is unsure whether she'll run again, instead leaning towards continuing her battles against the Liberal Party in the courtroom.
We were happy to see our numbers go up from the last two races, and certainly the public reception was wonderful. So we're very proud of that, of what we could do in 6 weeks during the summer of a pandemic. I may just stick to the law, that's what I do, and I will fight Justin Trudeau and Patty Hajdu that way for what they're doing in this riding.
Conservative Joshua Taylor was among friends and family at home during election night. And the 28-year-old says he looks forward to learning from this experience to be an even stronger candidate next time around.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was a learning experience, and obviously congratulations to Patty if that's how the votes end up coming in when they're all counted. And we'll be back stronger, we'll regroup, and do it even better next time, so we'll be more formidable going forward.
During her election night speech, Haidu added how thrilled she is to continue serving as an inspiration to the next generation.
You know, one of the biggest privileges for me as the first elected member of parliament for this riding who's a female is the number of young girls that gasp when I come to their door. And all I see is a future leader. Because God damn it, Jacqueline, we are going to have a female prime minister one day, one way or another.
Kurt Black, TBT News.
Well, meanwhile, in the Kenora riding, Conservative incumbent Eric Malillo was able to fend off a strong challenge from rookie NDP candidate Janine Seymour, who led for much of the night. Adam Riley was in Kenora to cover that race for us.
1 year and 11 months after being elected for the first time, Conservative Eric Malillo is going back to Ottawa after successfully defending his seat against 4 challengers, including a very strong push from the NDP's Janine Seymour. But in the end, it was Malillo with a resounding 2,800 vote lead, which put him over the top.
It's an incredible honor to continue to serve. Our riding continue to work. There's obviously a lot more work to do after only 2 years, so I'm very excited by that opportunity and thankful to all those that put their trust in me.
Seymour started the evening with many early polls working in her favor, and for a time it felt like she had Malillo on the ropes. But things slowly turned somber as the night played on. She says she's still trying to reconcile the fact that many of the issues she campaigned on will still be there.
We're still not going to have those discussions. So if not now, when? The issues that I was raising were issues that need to be spoken about, and clearly Kenora doesn't want to speak about them.
On a national scale, the results put the country back where it was at the beginning of the election with a Liberal minority government. Liberal candidate David Bruno says while the results both locally and nationally aren't exactly what he was hoping for, he believes the country is in good hands going forward.
We were looking for a majority so we wouldn't have to negotiate the difficult negotiations that were sometimes counterproductive when it came to the House of Commons. So having said that, yeah, I'm very pleased that it's going to be a Liberal government and we're going to continue on.
Malillo says the final seat count and the Liberal minority outcome look eerily similar to 2019 and believes this solidifies the sentiment that this was an unnecessary election. But he plans to continue to keep the government to account and more from the opposition benches.
But as well, the other side of that is the working committee, the work sort of behind closed doors to work collaboratively with not just the government but the other opposition parties to advance our region's interests forward.
And in a pair of moments rarely seen on election night Monday, both Seymour and Bruno came to the Malillo wrap party to offer their congratulations and reflect on a well-fought campaign. Adam Riley, TBT News.
Well, voter turnout at the polls across the Northwest dipped for the second straight election, according to figures released by Elections Canada. It's hard to say at this point whether it was the pandemic or voter apathy surrounding predictions of yet another minority government, but the 3 area ridings followed the national trend of lower overall voter turnout. In Thunder Bay Rainy River, just 58.8% of eligible voters cast a ballot, down considerably from the past 2 federal elections. In Thunder Bay Superior North, the turnout was back to the low levels of a decade ago, following a spike in 2015 and 2019. And in the Kenora riding, the turnout plummeted to 53.9%, the lowest level ever seen in a federal election in that area. The number of COVID-19 infections in the Thunder Bay District has fallen yet again. There are now just 2 active cases after the District Health Unit reported no new cases today. Perhaps that correlates with the vaccination milestone reached this morning. The Health Unit tweeting this out, "Incredible. As of today, we have reached 90% of the district population vaccinated with at least 1 dose. That refers to the eligible population, age 12 and up, and is according to the Ministry of Health figures. The ministry also shows that 83% of the eligible population is fully vaccinated. The health unit's own numbers are lower. They sat at 84% and 76% respectively as of this past Saturday. They're based off a higher population data set. More than 2,700 vaccine doses were administered last week. About 1,000 of those were first doses. As for the Northwestern Health Unit, there are no new COVID cases there today either. There are now 9 active cases across its catchment area. Thunder Bay City Council has decided to hold off on selling the 2 parkades owned by the city, at least for now. The decision was deferred at last night's meeting, as councillors still want to hear more about the finances before making the call. And city staff has been given the green light to craft a new bylaw to deal with abandoned shopping carts in the city. Corey Nordstrom has details.
The Victoriaville and waterfront parkades lose the city an average of $380,000 yearly, and council was slated to decide Monday night whether administration should move forward with trying to sell them. But councillors wanted more information on the outlook of those significant assets as the city aims to revitalize the downtown cores surrounding them.
Is this a good time to sell? Given that the deputant was very clear that there are a number of things going on in the city.
We could see the waterfront parkade actually covering those expenses and a small surplus, whereas Victoriaville would see a deficit, but a combined deficit of $150,000 on an annual basis.
But more questions than answers began to pile up.
None of us will have the information to support a divestiture tonight. Let's be honest.
It resulted in a vote to defer the motion until October 18th, when more information on finances will be available. In other business, Councillor Peng Yu's request to have a bylaw drafted by administration aimed at making businesses responsible for shopping carts left scattered throughout the city was approved in principle.
Abandoned shopping cart is harmful, and abandoned shopping cart reflects our city's image.
Administration will craft the bylaw before November, at which point council would then vote to adopt it or make further changes. Councillor Brian Hamilton believes this can be a win-win for businesses and the city.
They pay a local contractor, $3 or $4 or whatever the price was per cart to go and gather the carts. So the retailers might be incentivized through this bylaw.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Traffic safety concerns at the Balmoral Police Station have prompted the Thunder Bay Police Services Board to approve construction of a new fence around the facility. The board also discussed increasing the number of frontline officers at its monthly meeting this morning. Alex Flood has the details.
Safety concerns have been growing at the Balmoral Police Station as drivers often turn into the headquarters parking lot to pass through and sometimes to park their vehicle unauthorized. The motion to implement a fencing system as well as signage was approved by the Police Services Board at this meeting, and City Council will be asked to help them fund the $107,000 in security improvements. The plan is a major step down from the original $600,000 fence proposal, and Police Chief Sylvie Hoth expressed some concerns over the project's adequacy.
Is it a Band-Aid solution? Yes. It is a step where we are helping to create a little bit more of a tighter bubble in terms of our current parking facility, but it does not address all of our needs.
Meanwhile, the police board is asking Hoth to prepare and present a report outlining options for increasing the number of officers. The motion was passed amid the high volume of calls the station receives, resulting in slower response times. The pandemic and recent evacuation services have put additional stress on the police service. Mayor Bill Morrow spoke to those issues, but Hoth quickly pointed out the operating factors behind the force are solely her responsibility and not up to the board.
There are significant periods of time where we just don't seem to have enough people on the road, so to speak, and where we're beginning to get really seriously into the exercise of triaging and having to prioritize what we do and what we don't respond to and the timelines associated with the responses.
In terms of asking a deployment question, which is operational in nature, which at this time is not the purview of the board to make a decision on. That is mine to do on an operational aspect.
Chief Hoff will have until the November 16th police board meeting to draft a plan to increase local police force numbers, an issue that she says is not just unique to Thunder Bay, but other northern police forces as well. Alex Flood, TBT News.
Thunder Bay Police are investigating a collision between a city transit bus and a small car this morning. City Police and Thunder Bay Fire Rescue responded to the crash just before 9:30 at the corner of Cumberland Street North and Camelot Street. No injuries were reported to police, only some minor bumps and bruises. The car collided with the side of the bus. As it was passing through the intersection, police closed the intersection for more than an hour. There's no word yet on whether any charges were laid. And thankfully, no serious injuries involved.
Yeah, it's very nice to see that. No, you don't never want to see that kind of stuff happen, right, Ryan?
For sure. Absolutely.
I'm not sure, if you want to take it away, if you want to go over to the weather, or what would you like to do here, Ryan?
Sure, yes. We are experiencing some technical difficulties right now with our weather system. So we are going to take a break and we will see you.